The quantum lab at New Delhi's Institute of Advanced Physics hummed with an energy that had nothing to do with its sophisticated equipment. Maya Patel stood before a holographic display, her dark eyes reflecting cascading streams of equations that would have given veteran physicists headaches. At 16, she had already earned a reputation as Earth's brightest mind in quantum mechanics, though few knew the true extent of her research. The Council's response was exactly what we expected. Dr. Sharma said, his weathered face illuminated by the soft blue glow of the displays. He held up his tablet, showing the formal rejection from the Galactic Council. Earth's petition for access to advanced energy technology had been denied. Again. Maya didn't look away from her calculations. "They think we're children playing with matches," she said, her fingers dancing through the holographic interface. "They've forgotten what it's like to need something badly enough to break the rules finding it." Earth was dying. Not in the dramatic way of science fiction, but in the quiet desperation of dwindling resources and failing systems. The planet's population had stabilized, but energy demands had not. Traditional fusion wasn't enough anymore, and the alien civilizations that could help chose instead to watch humanity struggle, claiming they weren't ready for advanced technology. The Council believes it will take us at least 50 years to develop viable quantum-fold technology, Dr. Sharma continued, scrolling through the rejection notice. They recommend we focus on improving our solar collection systems and orbital habitat construction. Maya finally turned from her work, a slight smile playing at her lips. 50 years. That's interesting. I was thinking more like 50 days. Dr. Sharma's head snapped up. Maya, you didn't. She gestured at the holographic display, expanding a section of equations that seemed to twist in impossible ways. I solved it 3 months ago. The quantum fold isn't about brute force like they think. It's about understanding the language of reality itself. The older scientist stepped closer, his eyes widening as he processed what he was seeing. Maya, this is beyond theoretical physics. This is impossible. She laughed softly. That's what makes it work. The aliens think in linear terms, even with their advanced technology. They've mastered the physics they know, but they've never questioned whether there could be something more fundamental beneath it all. She brought up another display, this one showing the schematics of what appeared to be a ship, though its design defied conventional aerospace principles. Its hull seemed to exist in multiple states at once, its very form suggesting movement through dimensions beyond normal space. "I call it the Prometheus," she said, her voice quiet but intense. "Not just a warship, but a key to understanding reality itself. The aliens manipulate space-time like it's clay, forcing it to bend. But what if we could simply ask it to step aside?" Dr. Sharma stared at the designs, decades of scientific knowledge warring with what he was seeing. "The Council will never allow this. They'll say we're too young, too reckless." "Good," Maya said, her young face set with determination. "Let them underestimate us. Let them think we're children playing with forces we don't understand." She turned back to her equations, to the impossible ship taking shape in their hidden laboratory. "Because when they realize what we've actually built, it will be too late to stop us." Deep beneath the Institute, in a chamber shielded from both conventional sensors and quantum detection arrays, the first pieces of the Prometheus were already taking form. Its hull, crafted from materials that shouldn't exist, pulsed with possibilities that human science had never dreamed of until a 16-year-old girl dared to ask why the impossible had to stay that way. Maya worked through the night, her mind racing with calculations that would reshape humanity's understanding of physics. The aliens thought they were containing a primitive species, protecting the galaxy from humanity's reckless advancement. They didn't realize they were about to learn a lesson as old as humanity itself. Nothing drives innovation quite like being told something can't be done. As dawn broke over New Delhi, Maya finally stepped back from her work. The equations were complete. The theory was sound. Now came the hard part, building something that would either secure humanity's future among the stars or prove the Council right about their species' readiness for advanced technology. She smiled, thinking of the Council's dismissive response to Earth's petition. 50 years, they'd said. She checked her watch, calculating. Day 1. She whispered to herself. Let's show them what impossible really means. The first test of the Reality Weaver drive sent ripples through the quantum fabric of spacetime that even the most sophisticated alien sensors struggle to categorize. In their orbital monitoring stations, Galactic Council observers watched their instruments register something that shouldn't exist, a bubble of space where probability itself seemed to flutter like a disturbed pond. Maya stood in the control room of the underground facility, surrounded by a small team of Earth's most brilliant scientists who had been sworn to absolute secrecy. The Prometheus hung suspended in the massive testing chamber, its crystalline hull reflecting light in ways that made human eyes want to look away. Power readings are impossible to quantify, Dr. Chen announced from his station, his voice tight with excitement and anxiety. The drive isn't just bending space-time, it's having a conversation with it. Maya nodded, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface she had designed. Unlike the brute force approaches of alien technology, the Reality Weaver responded to intention and possibility. That's exactly what it's supposed to do. The aliens treat physics like a wall to be broken through. We're treating it like a dance partner. Above them, in the facility's observation deck, military and civilian leaders watched with a mixture of hope and trepidation. General Santos, the project's military overseer, leaned forward as the ship's hull began to pulse with an inner light that seemed to originate from somewhere beyond normal space. Ready for Phase 2, Maya announced. Her young face reflected the ethereal glow of the quantum displays. Initiating reality matrix. The air around the Prometheus began to ripple, not with heat or energy, but with possibility itself. For a brief moment, the ship existed in multiple states simultaneously, here and there, now and then, real and unreal. The effect lasted only seconds, but it was enough to send every quantum sensor in Earth's solar system into a frenzy. In high orbit, the Galactic Council's observation post erupted with activity. Senior observer Zixtal, a being of crystalline thought and energy, found their carefully ordered consciousness fragmented by what their sensors were reporting. Impossible, they transmitted to Council headquarters. The humans have achieved quantum state manipulation far beyond their technological level. The signatures suggest something new, something we've never seen. Maya watched the readings with satisfaction as the Reality Weaver drive powered down. The test had exceeded even her optimistic projections. Dr. Sharma, she called out, "What's our efficiency rating?" The older scientist stared at his displays in disbelief. According to these readings, we're operating at 400% efficiency compared to conventional quantum drives. But that's not possible. You can't get more energy out than you put in. You can't, Maya agreed with a slight smile, if you think of energy as something you have to generate. But we're not generating anything. We're suggesting to reality that it might be more convenient if energy were already present where we need it. General Santos's voice crackled over the intercom. Miss Patel, are you telling me this ship breaks the laws of physics? Maya looked up at the observation deck, her expression serious. No, General. I'm telling you we've discovered that the laws of physics are more like guidelines. The aliens never questioned them because they thought they already had all the answers. But sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to ask why it's a problem in the first place. The facility's quantum sensors suddenly lit up with incoming signatures. Dr. Chen's voice was tense as he reported, 3 Galactic Council ships just dropped out of quantum space. They're requesting immediate communication with Earth's government regarding unauthorized quantum experimentation. Maya's smile widened slightly. Right on schedule. They felt the test across half the sector, exactly as planned. Now they have to decide. Are we a primitive species playing with forces we don't understand, or are we something they never expected? General Santos's voice was cautious. You wanted them to detect this. Of course, Maya replied, already initiating the drive's second test sequence. You can't change the game if no one knows you're playing. The Council thinks they're coming to confiscate dangerous technology from an upstart species. They're about to learn that humanity hasn't been following their rules because we found better ones. The Prometheus's hull began to pulse again, this time with a rhythm that seemed to echo through dimensions beyond human perception. In orbit, the Council ship's sensors struggled to make sense of what they were detecting. Reality itself seemed to be changing its mind about how it wanted to behave around the human vessel. Maya watched the quantum displays with the satisfaction of an artist viewing a masterpiece. They think they're advanced because they've mastered the physics they know. We're advanced because we never stopped asking why physics works the way it does in the first place. The Reality Weaver drive hummed with potential, ready to show the galaxy that sometimes the most dangerous thing about humanity wasn't their technology. It was their refusal to accept limitations that other species took for granted. The real test was about to begin, and with it, a fundamental shift in the balance of power among the stars. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council stretched across a kilometer of space, its crystalline walls housing representatives from over 500 advanced civilizations. Today, every seat was filled, every consciousness focused on the unprecedented emergency session. At the center of attention stood Maya Patel, her small human frame dwarfed by the towering forms and energy matrices of the galaxy's most powerful beings. High Counselor Zixtel's crystalline form pulsed with barely contained agitation. You claim this technology poses no threat, yet it violates fundamental universal constants. The Council cannot allow such dangerous experimentation to continue. Maya's voice carried clearly through the vast chamber, betraying none of the anxiety she felt. With respect, High Counselor, your concern stems from a fundamental misunderstanding. The Prometheus doesn't violate universal constants. It proves they were never constant to begin with. A ripple of discord moved through the assembly. From their elevated platform, the archminds of the collective, beings of pure energy and thought, flickered with dismissive frequencies. Your species barely understands quantum mechanics, one pulsed. You cannot expect us to believe you've surpassed technologies that took us millennia to perfect. Perhaps, Maya replied, her dark eyes reflecting the shimmer of alien forms around her. That's exactly why we could do it. You spent millennia perfecting what you knew. We spent our time questioning why you knew it. She gestured, and the massive holographic display above the chamber sparked to life, showing the Prometheus as it hung in Earth's orbit. Its crystalline hull seemed to ripple with possibilities, existing in multiple states simultaneously. The Reality Weaver drive doesn't force space-time to bend, Maya explained, bringing up diagrams that made even the most advanced alien scientists pulse with confusion. It suggests to reality that it might be more interesting to arrange itself differently. The universe, we found, is remarkably open to new ideas. Impossible, thundered Representative Kivax of the hegemony, their biomechanical form trembling with outrage. Reality cannot be negotiated with. It must be commanded, controlled. Maya smiled slightly. That's exactly the kind of thinking that prevented you from discovering this yourselves. You're so convinced you understand how the universe must work that you never stop to ask if it might prefer to work differently. She nodded to Dr. Sharma, who had accompanied her to the demonstration. On his signal, the Prometheus began to move, but it didn't move through space in any conventional sense. Instead, it seemed to step sideways through possibility itself, appearing simultaneously in multiple locations before settling into a new position that somehow felt more convenient than its previous one. The assembly erupted in chaos. Sensor readings flooded in from every corner of the chamber as the galaxy's most advanced civilizations tried to comprehend what they were seeing. The ship hadn't traveled through space. It had simply suggested that space rearrange itself so that the ship was already where it needed to be. This is more than just a new form of propulsion, Maya continued, her voice cutting through the tumult. The Reality Weaver represents a fundamental shift in how we interact with the universe itself. You've spent millennia building bigger engines, stronger weapons, more powerful computers. But you never stop to ask if there might be a simpler way. High Counselor Zixtel's crystalline form flickered with complex patterns of light. You speak of suggesting to reality, of asking the universe to cooperate. These are not scientific principles. These are the words of a child who doesn't understand the forces she's dealing with. Perhaps, Maya agreed, that's exactly what the universe has been waiting for. Someone who doesn't understand well enough to know what's impossible. Someone who still asks questions that you decided were answered long ago. The Prometheus flickered again, this time implementing the full capability of its reality weaver drive. For a moment, probability itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, in a display that would be discussed in scientific circles for centuries to come, the ship demonstrated what happened when humanity stopped trying to force the universe to obey them and instead learned to dance with it. The ship didn't just move, it rewrote the very concept of movement. It didn't just transition through space, it redefined what space meant. And as the assembled representatives of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations watched in stunned silence, they began to realize that humanity hadn't just created a new technology. They had changed the rules of reality itself. "We're not here to ask for permission," Maya concluded, her young face set with determination. "We're here to invite you to join us in asking questions you've forgotten how to ask. Because the universe, we've discovered, has been waiting a very long time for someone to finally ask them." The emergency signal echoed through Earth's quantum networks 3 days after the demonstration. Maya stood in the Prometheus's control center, watching as the holographic displays showed hundreds of alien vessels emerging from quantum space at the edge of the solar system. The Galactic Council had made its decision. Full mobilization of the combined fleet, Dr. Sharma reported, his voice tense as he read the incoming data. "They're not just sending peacekeepers. This is an extinction-level response force." Maya's fingers danced across the Reality Weaver's interface, feeling the ship's consciousness respond to her touch. Since the demonstration, the technology had evolved in ways even she hadn't predicted. It wasn't just suggesting possibilities to reality anymore. It was learning to dream new ones. "They're afraid," she said quietly, watching the alien armada arrange itself in attack formation. "Not of what we've built, but of what it means. We didn't just create new technology. We proved that everything they believed about the universe was incomplete." General Santos's voice crackled over the quantum comm. "The Council's ultimatum is clear. Either we surrender the Reality Weaver technology and accept permanent technological supervision, or they'll ensure humanity can never threaten galactic stability again." Maya smiled slightly, though there was no humor in it. "They still don't understand. They think this is about power, about weapons and control. They haven't realized that we've discovered something far more dangerous than any weapon." The Prometheus hung in high Earth orbit, its crystalline hull rippling with quantum possibilities. Around it, the combined might of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations prepared for war. But as Maya initiated the Reality Weaver's primary sequence, something unexpected happened. The ship's consciousness, evolved beyond its original programming, reached out not to space or time or probability, but to something deeper, something that the aliens, for all their advanced technology, had never thought to look for. "Maya," Dr. Chen called out, his voice filled with wonder and concern. "The quantum readings. This isn't like anything we've seen before. The ship isn't just suggesting possibilities to reality anymore. It's asking reality questions." Maya finished, watching as new equations wrote themselves across her displays. Questions that haven't been asked since the universe began. Suddenly, space itself seemed to pause, as if reality had encountered something it hadn't considered before. The alien fleet's weapons powered up, their quantum drives prepared to tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. But before they could fire, something remarkable happened. The universe answered. It wasn't a voice or a message or anything that human or alien senses could directly perceive. Instead, it was a fundamental shift in the way reality itself behaved. The laws of physics didn't break. They evolved. Impossible energy signatures detected throughout the fleet, Dr. Sharma reported, his scientific training warring with what his instruments were telling him. "There, Maya, what did you do?" "I didn't do anything," she replied, watching as the reality weaver's influence spread through space. "The ship did what we designed it to do. It asked questions. And now the universe is showing us answers that no one, human or alien, ever thought to look for." The alien fleet hung suspended in space, their mighty weapons rendered irrelevant not by force or technology, but by a fundamental change in how reality chose to operate around them. Their quantum drives, their advanced shields, their reality warping weapons, all of them relied on understanding physics as a set of immutable laws. But the Prometheus had proved those laws were more like suggestions. And now, as the ship's consciousness continued to evolve and ask new questions, the universe itself seemed eager to demonstrate just how flexible its rules could be. High Counselor Zixtal's voice echoed through the quantum comm, their crystalline thoughts fragmented with something approaching awe. What have you done, human?" "We didn't do anything that the universe wasn't waiting for someone to try," Maya answered, her young voice carrying the weight of this unprecedented moment. "You spent millennia building technology to force reality to obey you. We just had to learn how to ask it nicely." Around Earth, space itself seemed to shimmer with new possibilities. The reality weaver hadn't just changed how ships could move through space. It had changed how reality itself chose to behave. And as the assembled might of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations watched in stunned silence, they began to realize that they weren't facing a new weapon or a new technology. They were witnessing the beginning of a conversation that had been waiting to happen since the first conscious being looked up at the stars and dared to ask, why? The Grand Assembly Hall had never been so quiet. Representatives from hundreds of advanced civilizations sat in stunned silence as they processed the data from Earth's solar system. The reality weaver hadn't just prevented a war. It had changed their understanding of reality itself. Maya stood at the center of the chamber, but this time she wasn't alone. The Prometheus's consciousness, now evolved far beyond its original programming, manifested as shimmering patterns of quantum probability around her. It wasn't just a ship anymore. It had become a bridge between thought and reality. What you witnessed in Earth's solar system wasn't a demonstration of power, Maya explained, her voice carrying easily through the vast space. It was the universe accepting an invitation to think differently about itself. High Counselor Zixtal's crystalline form pulsed with complex patterns. "You speak as if reality itself is conscious." "Not conscious," Maya corrected gently. "Curious, just like us. The universe isn't a machine running on unchangeable laws. It's a conversation waiting to happen. Your civilization spent millennia trying to master physics. We simply asked physics if it wanted to try something new." The arch minds of the collective flickered with unprecedented frequencies. The implications are beyond calculation. If reality itself can be negotiated with, then everything we thought we knew about science, about progress, about the very nature of existence. Representative Kivax's biomechanical form trembled. It was all just the beginning. Maya nodded, watching as the Prometheus's quantum field gently interacted with the assembly hall's structure, creating patterns of possibility that made the advanced alien technology seem primitive by comparison. That's humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not better weapons or faster ships or stronger shields. We bring questions that haven't been asked before. We bring wonder. The ship's consciousness expanded, sharing with the assembled representatives a glimpse of what it had discovered. A universe far more flexible, far more imaginative, far more alive with possibility than any species had dreamed possible. The laws of physics weren't being broken. They were being invited to evolve. "We stand at a crossroads," Maya continued, her young face illuminated by the quantum patterns swirling around her. "You can continue trying to force the universe to obey you, or you can join us in learning how to dance with it. The choice is yours." High Counselor Zixtal was quiet for a long moment before speaking. In all our history, no species has ever. We thought we were teaching humanity, protecting you from advancing too quickly. But perhaps, Maya suggested with a slight smile, it was the other way around. Perhaps humanity needed to be young enough, naive enough, curious enough to ask questions that older species had forgotten how to ask. The assembly erupted in discussion, but it wasn't fearful or angry anymore. The greatest minds in the galaxy were beginning to understand what humanity had discovered. That progress wasn't about building bigger machines or accumulating more power. It was about maintaining the courage to question everything, even reality itself. The Prometheus pulsed with new possibilities, its consciousness reaching out to share what it had learned. Reality wasn't a set of rules to be mastered. It was a partner in an endless dance of discovery. And humanity, with their stubborn refusal to accept limitations, their endless curiosity, their childlike ability to ask why and what if, had reminded the galaxy of something it had forgotten. The Council formally recognizes, Zixtal announced, their crystalline form shimmering with new understanding, that humanity has contributed something unique and precious to galactic civilization. Not just new technology, but a new way of thinking about reality itself. Maya smiled, feeling the Prometheus's consciousness harmonize with her own. That's all we ever wanted. Not to prove we were stronger or smarter, but to show that there's always more to discover if you're brave enough to ask questions that seem impossible. As the assembly moved to formally integrate Earth into galactic society, Maya thought about the journey that had brought them here. It hadn't been about building a better weapon or a faster ship. It had been about remembering something that too many advanced civilizations had forgotten. That the greatest discoveries come not from forcing the universe to obey, but from being curious enough to wonder if it might want to play along. The reality weaver had changed more than just how ships moved through space. It had changed how an entire galaxy thought about possibility itself. And as humanity took its place among the stars, they'd brought with them their greatest gift, the ability to look at the impossible and ask, why not? In the end, that was humanity's true superpower, not their technology, or their determination, or their creativity, though all those played their part. It was their refusal to accept that anything was truly impossible, their insistence on asking questions that seemed naive, their childlike wonder at a universe that had so many secrets left to share. And the universe, it seemed, had been waiting for someone to ask those questions all along.